Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Well, as I said, welcome everyone. My name is Sherry Odom, and I
Yeah,
am
I knew that you
the
were.
founder of the
I'm
Neuroplasticity
on my
Alliance and
computer. I'm on
your
a Zoom.
presenter today. I want to welcome you to this series. It's something we have been wanting to do at the Neuroplasticity Alliance for quite some time. And really, what we're trying to do with this series, which is a 5-week series, is give you the tools to be able to leverage all of the new discoveries that are occurring in neuroscience, neuroplasticity really being one of the big ones. Today's session is on discovering neuroplasticity, and we're going to talk about what it is and how to influence it. And then we've got a couple of four more sessions in this series that you can enjoy. And as I said, the goal really of this is to enable you and empower you to use the power of neuroplasticity to transform your lives. My goal is not to tell you which treatments to go try for whatever conditions, but to help you understand how to research them, how to evaluate them, and how to talk to your care team with your care team about what the tools are out there. So it's sort of like the old adage, teach a man to fish and you help him for life. So that's what we're really trying to do with neuroplasticity in this series. Um, each of the weeks stands on their own. You don't have to attend today, or if you need to skip one, you certainly can join back in whenever you can, and you will have full advantage and you won't feel like you've missed anything because each session stands on its own. We will have all of the sessions online for you on the website. Once today's is finished, it will be up tomorrow, and you can access it there and share it as you need to. And please do share it. We want the more people to watch this as possibly can. Okay. So in today's discussion, we're going to go over who is NPA, what do we do, share with you a little bit about neuroplasticity. We're also then going to introduce you to John Kennedy, who is a neuroplastician. He's our guest speaker for today. And when I thought about who in my network would be a great individual to come in and help lay the foundation for neuroplasticity, I thought about John because he has treated a wide range of individuals from executive functioning, from executives really to help individuals who are already high performing sort of step up their game. He's also helped a large portion of the military, from the Marines, from pilots, from snipers, not only improve their function, but also overcome trauma. And then individuals like yourself and me, he now treats those individuals. So such a wide range of care that he's been able to give. And I think he's got some good case studies to share with you, as well as an activity that I think you're going to really enjoy. It's one that I've found a lot of benefit from. And I also wanted to make sure that you were aware that today's discussion is really focused on neuroplasticity as an overview. We're not going to go into the therapy types that are there. And I know we've gotten a lot of questions early on what are the therapies. And next week's session focuses on that. So please do join us next week for a little bit deeper dive into which tools you can leverage within the neuroplasticity treatment realm. Okay, so who is the Neuroplasticity Alliance and what do we do? Our mission really is to help accelerate the adoption of treatments, all of the new discoveries and treatments that are out there in the realm of neuroscience. Neuroscience is really changing at a breathtaking rate due to a discovery by Eric Kandel. And well, he started his work in the 1960s, but he received his Nobel Peace Prize in 2000. And that really sort of changed the game, and it really enabled this tool of neuroplasticity to come into the realm. And when I discovered this, I was a caregiver for both my mom and my daughter who had dyslexia and multiple sclerosis. And I tried them. It really transformed my life. And I got very excited about communicating those treatments and the potential of neuroplasticity to individuals out there in the world. And I formed the Neuroplasticity Alliance, and we've been operating now for about 5 years. Our goal really, and what we're trying to do, is educate and empower individuals with the information they need to go and help themselves. And the other really goal is for the ecosystem, to support the ecosystem, supporting both the providers in this space as well as the innovators, so that we can make it more mainstream. And the overall vision for what we're trying to accomplish is to create a world where the neuroplasticity-based therapies are really a standard of care. Things are changing so fast, but the discoveries are changing so fast, but it takes about 17 years for these treatments to become mainstream. And I just didn't want to wait that long. So we're thankful that we can share this information with you and help you learn how to take advantage of them. So who do we serve? If you look at the realm of neurological dysfunction and you say, what is the overall population that this could benefit, this being neuroplasticity, you can see that somewhere between 45 and 50% of the population have some sort of neurological dysfunction. And that is huge. That is an issue of epidemic proportions, especially when you look at COVID, diabetes, cancer, and cardiovascular. We're 2 times the level of that. So it's a significant portion of the population that has the opportunity to benefit from neuroplasticity. So who does that look like, and what does that really specifically mean for individuals out there? So who is it that we can support? It's individuals with a brain injury, somebody who's had experience with stroke or persistent pain, spinal cord injury. All of these individuals can benefit from neuroplasticity-based therapies. On the developmental side, from developmental delays, you're looking at dyslexia, autism, ADHD, cerebral palsy, and more. These are all just examples. And in the disease realm, there's Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, even ALS. The range of neurological diseases is large, and I can't list everything that's could benefit, but these are just some examples. And there's a lot of exciting work going on in mental health for anxiety, depression, and trauma with the treatment of vagus nerve stimulation. And that's something we're going to talk about in a little bit more detail next week. Okay. So what I want to do now is get into just a little bit of neuroplasticity, what it is, and kind of at a high level, because John, our guest speaker, is going to join us in the middle, and we're just going to do an overview up front, and then we'll move into a little more detail after we talk to John. But I did want to encourage you to please know that what we're telling you today and sharing with you is not for you to try on your own without the care of your healthcare providers. Neuroplasticity can be positive and it can be negative. So, and it's very complicated. It's not something you can just try on your own. And so I want to encourage you to make sure you work with your healthcare provider. So what is neuroplasticity? It is really, quite simply, the brain's ability to modify itself through experience. And this really includes the central nervous system as well, because they work as an ecosystem. And what is really exciting about this is that as I mentioned earlier, Eric Kandel won the Nobel Peace Prize for this in 2000. And it really did just flip and almost the entire paradigm of what we knew about how the brain operates. It reversed everything we knew from a healthcare perspective and made us forced us to rethink every single thing that's out there. And what we've discovered is we've had it almost completely wrong, and or it was incomplete for what we knew. And if you think about it, really, even though he won the Nobel Peace Prize for it in 2000, not until 2015 did it really start getting any traction in healthcare circles. And so that's been about 10 years ago. And even in the last 5 years is when we've started to see a lot more therapies and people embrace it. The neuroscience community the neurologist community has really embraced it and tried to weave it into their practices. So when I first started this 5 years ago, there were maybe 10 research papers that were documenting the effects of neuroplasticity. Today, there's literally hundreds. And you can go on our website to see some of those clinical studies that are ongoing and participate in some of those. But what's just that rate of change in that short amount of time really says a lot, because we're still learning every single day and new information is coming out every day about how to implement neuroplasticity. And one of the things that we've learned through all of this research is that you as an individual have lifelong adaptability. Your brain continues to reorganize and reshape itself throughout your life, regardless of age, until the day that you pass away. So this is phenomenal, because we up until really 5 years ago, we thought that the brain that you had when you were born was the brain that you died with. And that is just completely not true. It's very inspiring, right? For those of us who have a few more years of age on us. And one of the other big things we learned was that you continue to generate new brain cells throughout your life. So not only can you reshape the brain through how it works, but you generate new brain cells. And I know when I was growing up and in my teenage years, it was be careful, what you consume, because you only have so many brain cells. But that's not true. You do continue to generate new brain cells, although maybe not quite as much as you did, when you were young. It does decline as you get old. And it has that in itself, along with the ability to change it through practiced exercises, means that you can really build the brain that you want. It does require a lot of personalization and a lot of focus and challenge, meaning you got to work a little hard to make that happen. And we'll go into that in a little more detail. So why is this important? Why does it really matter to you as an individual? Well, the model of healthcare for anybody who had some sort of neurological challenge, and up until probably really 3 years ago, was compensation. So if you had a brain injury, you had to learn how to work around that. What could you do to compensate for the injury to get your life as comfortable as it possibly can be? That would be like with the use of canes, with memory aids, etc. And the goal was adaptation, not recovery. However, now with neuroplasticity coming into play and people now learning how to utilize it, the model has changed from compensation to restoration, which is a big deal. If you have a brain injury, if you've had a stroke, if you've had multiple sclerosis and lost some of the use of your limbs, being able to restore some of that function is it's life-changing, right? It's transformative. And it's not easy, though. I do want to tell you that it is somewhat complicated, because everybody has a very unique brain, and your specific challenges and how your brain works and how your body works is going to require a lot of personalization. And we don't quite have it figured out yet, but they are working on it at a very fast pace. And I can tell you that some of the work now they're doing with vagus nerve stimulation is transformative, especially for individuals with stroke. So when you think about neuroplasticity and how to affect it, okay, so I've been sitting here telling you it can change your life. It can help you regain lost function and retain the function that you do have. How does it work? How do you implement it? So there's really three key things. It's very much a cyclical process. one is the state of plasticity for your brain. How quickly does it learn? And there are a lot of things you can do to influence how quickly you learn certain things. And that is really requires things like exercise, sleep, nutrition. There are accelerators out there that can help speed that up. And we're going to talk a good bit about that after John comes on. And then next week is where we're going to get into a lot of that detail, go into those interventions in very much specificity. But once you, regardless of what state your brain is in, right, you can still learn. And if you're an adult, it requires focus, friction, and an incremental approach. So repeatability, you've got to work at it harder than you did when you were 25, or and even when you were, 4 or 5, where you just almost learned by osmosis from being around it. Now your brain is going to require a little more focus and incremental working at it. So daily exercises, daily effort on a continuous basis. And this is important. I wanted to go over this because when John jumps on here and starts looking at and does his activity for you, you're going to see the repetition piece and the incremental approach that comes into play. And then lastly, the third step in this process is sleep. Sleep really consolidates the learning that you have accumulated through those behavioral exercises and the repetition. So when you go to sleep at night, it's real important that you rest well, you get the sleep you need, it's uninterrupted, you go into the REM sleep that you're required to for that to take hold and really get embedded into your brain. So these are in the middle of this circle are the factors really that influence all of those areas. And it's very circular. They all depend one on the other to work, and they do work in unison together. Okay, so I think we have, John is going to jump on now. John, are you here? Let's see.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here, Sherry.
Okay, we can't hear you very well, John.
Um, okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Is that better?
Let's see. Hold on just a second, John. We can't hear you.
How about now?
They're going to be able to hear him. It's the projection here.
So I think the issue is on our end with the projector at the facility that we're at. So
Okay.
Can I get anybody in the
Tim, you
yeah,
can
is
hear?
there anybody? Tim, you can hear him fine? Thank you.
Okay, so you can share.
Okay. People are saying they can hear. That's good.
Yeah, John, don't change anything. It's at their end. They'll
Okay.
fix in a second.
Okay.
You're muted now, Sherry. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, good. All right, Izzy's got it fixed on our end here so that people in the audience can hear. So John, I'm going to go ahead and allow you to share, and we'll just turn it
Okay.
over to you.
Cool.
Before I do that, though, I want to just make a quick introduction. John is a best-selling author for his work, and he has been in the business for, gosh, I'm going to say 30 plus
Long
years,
time.
John. Yeah, you can correct me there if you want to. But John has developed a really unique personalized approach for treating neuroplasticity. And I am going to turn this over to him and let him sort of give you a little bit of his background. Let's see.
Yeah. There
Okay.
we go. You see that? Okay. Can you guys see that? Cool. So first, Sherry, I want to say it's great to see you again, and thank you for all you are doing in this field. I mean, this is such an important field to get the information out. So let's see. Is this working here? Go back to slideshow. Where is it? Here we go. Okay. Can you guys all see the slides? Good. Okay, so again, Sherry, thanks for having me here, and thanks for all you're doing in this field. So everybody, I want to give you a little bit of my background and some of the concepts that this program is based on. We are going to do a little bit of an exercise at the end, and I highly, highly recommend, if you want to participate, that you open your cameras and your microphones. That's very important. If you're on a phone, it might be a little bit hard to see, but we'll do what we can with that. So basically, let me give you a little bit of my background. So as Sherry mentioned, so I was a consultant for many, many years in business, a lot of process work, helping a lot of companies. And I actually was very, very fortunate in developing this because I came into it as a consultant, not as a researcher. Basically, what happened was my brother came back from Iraq in 2006 and inspired me to do something to possibly help reduce casualties in combat. So as a business consultant, I made companies a lot of money. This was an opportunity to actually help save lives as opposed to just helping businesses make more money. I found myself in an event the Marines held every year at 29 Palms, and the whole purpose of this event was to bring contractors from around the world, big guys, Boeing, guys like that, as well as small guys like me, anyone who had a possible approach that might help reduce casualties. So here I am, 29 Palms, have no idea what's going to do. And then I kind of had this God wink about how I could possibly help. So I was actually able to get a contract from the Marine Corps. And the Marines gave me two different objectives. So two completely different objectives, basically improve warfighting. So what we wanted to do is improve the ability of our guys going into combat to think faster, make better decisions under stress, become better leaders and better marksmen, everything that was involved in warfighting. But the other part of it, which was very, very important, no one ever tried to do both of these at the same time, was to also accelerate the recovery from the wounds of war, post-traumatic stress, concussions, anxiety, and so forth. So I got a contract, and this contract specified that I had to have a successful pilot. So I didn't have 17 years, right? Typically 17 years. I had 3 months to try to make a difference. It was a full Department of Defense experiment. So we had a control platoon, which was randomly chosen. A platoon's about 40 guys out of 1,000. I chose the worst platoon to work with because if I could help these guys in any way I wanted to. So they were the worst platoon in the battalion. They lost 16 guys a cycle before, rampant post-traumatic stress, 3 suicide attempts, and they were at the bottom of all their training. So you want a challenge? This was a challenge, right? And I only had 3 months to develop this program. So in response, I created the field of applied neuroplasticity. Applied neuroplasticity was to apply the business process reengineering work that I had done with businesses and apply it to the brain. And there was 3 components of that. Now, being a consultant coming into this field, I had no idea that no one had ever done this before. I had no idea how a traditional approach was business. I just needed to solve a problem. So there's 3 components of my program. One was we needed to define the critical mental processes or cognitive skills that are critical to executive function, because everything we do relies on our ability to make decisions. And so we have several of these that are very, very clearly defined. I can send you a framework of these if you'd like. Basically, the ability to take data, break it down, think it through, and then execute on it. That's the critical process for anything. Sitting here, listening to me speak, driving a car, playing sports, being in a relationship, data is constantly coming into our brains, and we need to be able to break it down and think it through and then execute. The goal was to make the break it down, think it through piece unconscious, right? So we needed to train the brain to make decisions unconsciously. So when they needed to be executed, they would come up to the surface, up to the conscious, where they could very quickly and effectively be acted upon. I have a term that I created for this that Special Operations Command really liked, and that was something called chronosynthesis, where our brain only brings what's critical to the decision up to the conscious to then make the decision. That relieves stress, it improves focus, it makes a huge difference. The second part is an agile approach. So unlike all the restrictions that involve most research experiments, where you start with one thing and you go to another and another, and you continue to try to validate the initial hypothesis, I brought a business approach of an agile approach, which basically means continuous improvement. So when I started to work with the Marines, if something worked, I kept going with it. If it didn't work, I didn't. So I was able to have a very, very quick development period. In fact, one of the neuroscientists that, by the way, many, many neuroscientists have helped me with this research. She said that this could never have come from traditional research because it's reductionist in nature. You reduce it down to one thing and do all kinds of testing for 17 years. She said, this is so holistic, it must have come from God. So I said, okay, I'll take that as an endorsement. So that's the agile approach. But the critical factor, and this is what differentiates this from any other program, is something called robust stimulation. Basically, when we give that brain a stimulant, as Sherry said, our brains are always changing, right? We have, based on our experiences and the stimulation we give it, there's a very specific type of stimulation that will start to change the brain immediately, not just in a day or a week or a month like normal. And I knew that's what I needed the basis on because I only had 3 months to make a difference. So go back to the first experiment here. Yeah, so I had 3 months, right? So 3 months later, while I developed this program embedded with the platoons, they not only became the best ever platoon in that battalion, but one of the best to ever go through their final pre-deployment training. The commanding officer said they moved better than any other group he'd seen. And we did for an objective measure, we did this series of cognitive skills tests before and after. So on the test, they blew away the control platoon. But much more importantly, obviously for all of us, is how do we react to the real world? So from there, then it spread through the military, as Sherry mentioned, right? So Navy SEALs, snipers, pilots, EOD, shooting teams. We worked with so many different units, and every unit, typically, if they deployed several times, they were also recovering from the wounds of war. So their overall performance improved regardless of what their starting baseline was or what they were struggling with. So in the military, tremendous trauma recovery, right? A lot of trauma in the military. So post-traumatic stress, guys didn't freak out anymore. So basically what we do, we work with, I mean, we've expanded so much, probably worked with close to 15,000 people since then. My chief trainer and certified trainer, Tim Stewart's on with us. He's had tremendous success as well. And so basically, by taking this training through, we don't heal the trauma. There's people that will do that. What we do is we heal the symptoms of the trauma so they don't get triggered anymore and they're able to really get back to their life very quickly. So many positive testimonials and results from military that we worked with. And then I brought it to the civilian sector. And one of the first pilots I did was with inner city kids, right? And as you guys know, inner city kids carry a lot of trauma. And so this group, I bedded with them for 8 weeks, and I certified their teacher. It's not a full certification, but I showed him how to do the exercises with the class, which is the basis for our certification program. So he met with these kids 3 times a week, a few minutes each time. And during that time, not only did their trauma relieve because the negative incidences went way down, but their grades got better. And for them, which was very important, their ACT scores went up 3 full points. So anyone who's studying, right, this will help. The important thing, and again, we always look for the improvements in quality of life at the end of this. And what their advisor said was this is huge for them because of this. Now they can get into a better, more supportive college as opposed to being dumped into a state school. So for them, their lives changed tremendously. Another case study, a case study for someone with traumatic brain injury. So this young man got hit head on by a semi-truck, was at the Lurie Center in Chicago, one of the best rehab centers in the country. And he was going through their protocol, right? And their protocol, after about 3 months, he got very frustrated because they had him doing the traditional things. Not that there's anything bad with this, writing sentences and so forth, forth. And then he had a fraternity buddy that I had helped overcome a concussion when they played lacrosse together. So he referred me. I worked with Richie, and after just a few sessions, he passed his driver's test and his cognitive skills test that he needed to be able to get that driver's test. And so he loved it, right? So he kept doing this. He's doing fine now. He was able to leave the program earlier because his symptoms were gone. Another one, depression, right? So depression is also an issue. In fact, every one of those debilitations that Sherry had on that slide, over the years, we've helped every single one of those. So Robert, severe depression, could barely function. I first started working with him. He was, kind of overwhelmed, had a hoodie, beard, sitting in the corner on his sofa. So I work with a lot of people via Zoom. So 1 session per week. After 5 weeks, haircut, shave, it signed up for a class and was actively looking for work. I checked in with him a year later. He lost 100 pounds, had a full-time job, was hanging out at Starbucks playing chess with people. His mother could not believe it. So again, 2 different kinds of debilitations, right? We have depression, and we also have traumatic brain injury. Another one, learning disabilities. We work with a lot of kids, ADHD, autism. We've started to help more and more kids with autism and dyslexia. She has some severe processing issues because a lot of the problems that we all face if we're struggling is we're not processing information efficiently. So again, after 3 sessions is when the light really goes on. She was incredible, a totally different child in school. And obviously her mother was very appreciative of that. Post-brain surgery recovery, right? A lot of people, they go through, they come out with chemo fog. They really struggle with getting back to when I first started working with her, she could barely cook anymore. She was a great chef. She could barely cook. After we worked with her, she was able to cook their entire Thanksgiving dinner. And her husband, obviously, you can see his testimonial, he thinks this is the only thing that has helped her. Recently, I actually had a very, very meaningful experience for me. Another case study, Grace, she had fallen out of a tree and was in a coma for 4 months with a very severe concussion. It landed on her corpus callosum. And I started working with her. We worked 1 session per week. I helped her family work with her. And then 3 weeks ago, I was able to be at her wedding. I was invited to her wedding. I got to watch her walk down the aisle with her new husband. It was kind of amazing because people I didn't know were coming up and thanking me, but it was really Grace doing the hard work that I gave her to do. So her life has completely changed. Recent results. So recent results, again, Cashman, MS, right? Who would think that we can rewire the brain and body, someone with MS? She could not use her legs, basically. She was in a wheelchair when I started working with her. But by re-energizing the connections between her brain and her legs and her hands, not only did she get a doctorate because her studying and school did so much better, but she can actually move her legs. She actually can use a walker, and she's hoping that she's going to be able to walk again. Steve in the middle, frontotemporal dementia, right? I've been working with him on and off for over a year, and his wife is amazed that he's never had to go on medication because he was really starting to go down. So anytime we can meet people pre-Alzheimer's, it's huge for them because we can't always stop it, right? Because it's a physical thing, but we can push off the symptoms for a long time. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, Kat Perez, right? Because remember, this was designed for both ends of the spectrum, and there's something that's special about that. So Kat, I started working with her when she was just the sub on the Colombian national team. She became the starter. She helped lead the team all the way to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. And she, again, credits my program with making her brain faster, reactions faster. The reason I mention that is I love about this is that there's no end to it. It's not like you get your treatment and then that's it. In fact, one of our neuroscientists said that the changes we make in the brain actually are permanent, and that creates our new baseline. And so anyone I work with who's struggling, if they keep practicing the program, they'll be better than they were before they had their traumatic experience. So what I wanted on this next one, let's get to, go back up one, sorry. So do I have, Yeah, okay. So basically, what we found over the years doing this is there is one single factor that affects all of these things. One factor. Now, how can one factor help all these things? Well, basically, it's our ability to process information. So a high performer, if they can process information faster, they get an edge. Better athlete, better parent, better student, right? But everything on the left there that we've helped, they also have, if you look at symptoms of any one of these debilitations, one of the symptoms is poor processing. So when we improve the processing ability of the brain, we can help them overcome this because we don't target anything. We don't target, we actually don't do assessments. I mean, we don't target any specific debilitation. What we do is we train the brain to be optimum. And our brains are so incredibly creative that our brains will rewire around physical damage. And they'll also always change the fastest where they struggle the most. And so thousands of people, we start with the same exercises and every single person will react to them differently. And our brains will make the changes necessary to do what we ask it to do. So that's the key to this, right? So that one single factor, and on this next chart, basically here's a random 12 people we work with. Everything from slow processing to neurodiverse slow processing, right? Struggles in school, high anxiety, brain fog, severe ADHD. Every time we meet, what we found is as we make the brain change in so many different areas, it's actually improving that processing speed. So on the right is a graph of their processing speed improvements over just 5 weeks. And if you see on the bottom, you can see the results after just 5 weeks. Almost every single one of them had recovered and we're back on track to being normal. And again, it's that processing speed metric that's the most important one. And that's why we do it every time. That's the one objective metric we've used for almost 18 years now. The other thing that this does is very important. So again, the way I do a lot of my research is I take neuroscientists through and psychiatrists through what I do, and then let them tell me based on their extensive research what they think is happening. And so Grant at the Harvard Martino Center, he said he felt this was one of the most powerful anti-aging programs because we're increasing blood flow to the brain. And we actually here have a HEG of a 76-year-old man doing the exercise, and you can see blood flow through the prefrontal cortex is improving. Now, what does that mean? It means that when the brain is being flooded with blood, it means that it's all these amazing things are happening. Most people can actually feel the pressure in their head because of the increased blood flow. That creates neurogenesis. That's what repairs the capillaries of someone who's losing their memory. That's what improves the processing speed and the ability to balance everything that a person needs to do to be fully functional. When we increase that blood flow through the brain, that's an objective measure of what's happening. And more research, again, I just read some research a couple of weeks ago, because I'm always trying to research about how important increased blood flow is for not just cognitive function, but again, can create neurogenesis. Here's an example. I want to just play this, if I can get this video to play. This is a young man with very severe ADHD. He was really struggling in school, bright kid. We all know kids with ADHD, very, very bright kid, but was all over the place. His parents did not want to put him on medication. So I started working with him, and here's just some short clips of me taking him through that baseline I mentioned. So hopefully you can hear him.
Right, left, up, right, down, right, up, left, right, left, down, up, left, down, left, down, right, up, down.
Very slow, right? Very hard for him to focus.
Up, right, left, up, right, down, right, up, left,
Sorry about that. So it took him 2 minutes and 32 seconds to do that first baseline. Let me skip ahead a little bit. So the second time, only a week later, with some practice. Sorry, slow bandwidth.
left, down, up,
Faster and smoother.
down, right, up, down, down, up, right, down, down, right, up, left,
And then the third session.
down, up, right, up. Right, left, down, up, right, down, left, down.
So
Right,
So you can hear the difference in the speed, right? So that's what ties directly to our real world performance because we're engaging all parts of his brain at the same time. Now, 1 minute 9, the third second, he was down to 52 seconds. So he went from 2.5 minutes to under a minute in just 3 sessions. Now, what does that mean real world, right? Because this is just a metric. This is not like a digital assessment where you're using your eyes. We're using his whole brain and body. What that meant was after that third session, he got his first A ever in school. And about 5 weeks later, he got Student of the Month award. And when his grandmother, who I was helping with her dementia, reached out to me to say that she was at his birthday party and he sat down with her and read a book with her. So we're talking about a total transformation in his life in about 5 or 6 weeks. So those are the things that can happen when we make the brain work really hard, really fast to do something very simple. And so just as a conclusion, one of the things, and I always like to try to give people hope, right? So it doesn't matter, as Sherry said, our brains are always changing. It doesn't matter what the starting baseline is, we can improve processing speed at any age, and that will help them overcome trauma. It'll also help them perform better in other areas of their life, whatever it is that they need to do. And at the same time, it will give them tools to keep using for the rest of their life. It's also very easy to integrate into existing treatment protocols, which I'm really excited about. We've started certifying practitioners who already have a really good program. When they add some of the exercises to what they're doing, it accelerates the results and helps their patients or clients do even better. Whoops. So basically, everything we do flows through our brain. We improve our brain, we can improve everything in our life. So I have an exercise. So first, do we have any questions before we take you through an exercise? Anyone? The reason I'm going to show you this, I'm sorry, my screen. Okay. Sorry.
Do you have one question?
Yes, please.
So having a background in business, can talk about how you came to discover the techniques that you used and what external resources did you draw on to develop these programs?
Excellent question. So again, I was a consultant. So I consulted to C-level. I solved a lot of problems. That was kind of what my background was. And I always knew that if we can make processes more efficient in business, we can make them run better. And actually, this kind of happened. I was at that event in the very beginning. I was shaking hands with a base commander. I had kind of one of these God winks. What if you could do for the brain what you do for businesses and make them more efficient? So that's pretty much where it started. I did a lot of research, read Norman Deutsch's book, The Brain That Changes Health. I'm sure you've all read that. And that's where I really understood that we could do this. I got the research from MIT that a special kind of stimulation will do this. What I knew was, one, we had to engage as many parts of the brain as possible. That's why a lot of the digital programs like Lumosity and Cogmed, you get better at the games because you're practicing. Very, very minimal neuroscience research that there's a real world connection. And because we live in the real world, We want to get real world connection. So the resources I used basically were this exercise, which I created because, again, arrows are the simplest symbol that require a decision, right? So if we can help your brain make the simple decisions, the brain thinks they're simple, but we engage more parts of the brain to make those decisions. Those are all the connections that become stronger. So the business part is actually, it's the process piece, all kinds of businesses. It's more the theory that of improving process will improve anything we do, which is probably what I brought from the business to make this happen. At the time, there was actually other experiments going on at the exact same time. There were some psychologists that were trying to use cognitive task analysis to map out, what survivors were doing so they could teach others. The problem with that is, at least when this was started, again, everything was timing, right? Any other group, this wouldn't have happened, had to save lives and had to work really, really fast. And so the problem with the cognitive task analysis approach to this was in an asymmetric environment, which the Marines operated in, nothing is ever the same twice. So if you can make the brain fast enough to handle that, one of the things we really improve is something called anticipation. We train your brain to anticipate what's going to happen before it actually happens. And that's a huge edge. Conversation, driving a car, whatever it is. When we train our brain unconsciously to anticipate something that's going to happen, it gives us a huge edge. Now,
Am I on mute?
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. One of the things I think when I looked at what you're doing, John, is this thing called dual tasking, right? So when you're using your eyes for color, and you guys will see this through the task. So it's using multiple sensory inputs, which forces you to expedite that processing speed, right? So your brain just gets faster and more efficient, which then bleeds into everything else. And neuroplasticity, a lot of that's called dual tasking, right? So using more than one task. And that'll become clear, I think, as we go through the exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
John, if I could add one thing to this,
sure.
the true nature of this is the simplicity of it. It
Right.
had to be able to be used in a field environment where the military is out. The simplicity of it. One time I was working with an individual that I didn't know, and I said, John, will this help him? And he goes, it's a sheet full of colored arrows. It's not going to hurt him. And we started looking at everything that John just said, but at the same time, it can't be any simpler that a fifth grader can do it or an NFL quarterback. So it's amazing in the simplicity as well as the application. So
yeah, my daughter was 5 when I developed this for the Marine Corps, and I wanted her to be able to do this as well. So that's why we're so effective for kids. Probably 3, 4, 5 and up, we're able to work with.
John, it makes me kind of think of Dance Dance Revolution, but for your
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah, Dance Dance Revolution is great for the brain. Kids used to do that, right? Absolutely. That was a great program for that. So you guys, if anybody want to give it a try, you'll need to open up your microphone, and ideally your video as well. If you don't want to do it, I can just explain it to you. Totally up to you. Got some takers here. So cool. So let's do this. So again, it's great if we can have at least 2 people on. There we go. Good. We got Aaron and we've got Malcolm. Cool. Michelle. Okay, cool. All right. So here's how it works.
I'm on a phone, so do I have to see you at the same time, or just the
No, you don't need to
airplanes?
see me at all. The phone's
Okay,
hard
great.
just because this will be small, but definitely this phone will work.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to work on your executive function. And that's all about making decisions. So both of you, what I'd like you to do is look at that sheet of paper and tell me what color the arrow in the upper left-hand corner is.
Red.
Okay, good. And what direction is it pointing?
Right.
Okay, you guys passed the first test. No one's failed yet, fortunately, right? But if you can do that, you can do the training. That's how simple it is. So what we're going to do now is, remember I mentioned that speed of processing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to read off all the arrows on that page, only directions, left, left. So right, left, down, up, right, only directions, as loud as you like. Now, the reason you're not muted is because part of this, when you can do it by yourself, when you do it with someone else, you have to tune the other person out, right? So Jillian, you want to join us?
Yes, I can
Cool.
have a
Awesome.
go.
So what I'd like you to do now is just read off all the arrows on the page. You can go as fast as you like. Now, very important, and this is what's very important with this program, is you can't stop to fix mistakes. That's huge, right? Probably the only program ever that way, because we don't care about mistakes. Oops, sorry. We're care for is speed. One of the things that happens when we worry about mistakes, we get stressed, we put pressure on ourselves. One woman I work with started crying once. She said, I've told my whole life to be perfect. Well, only God's perfect, right? We have to do this. So if you make a mistake, it's okay to keep going. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, go, count you down and say go. And then I'm going to time you. And it doesn't matter who's faster, who's slower. It doesn't matter. We want to get a range of time. So just read off the regular directions, left to right, the whole page. And when you get to the end, I'll just stop the timer. But keep going, by the way. If you're the last person, doesn't matter, keep going. You
Okay.
ready? On your
Yes.
mark, get set, go.
Right, left,
Left,
right,
down, up,
No,
up,
no.
right, up, right, down, right, up, down, left, left, down, left, down, left, down, right, down, up, right, down, right, up, left, 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 down, down, right, left, up, right, 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 down, left, up, left, down, up, left, up, right, up, right, up, right, right, up, down, left, up, left, down, left, down, left, left, down, down, up, right, left, up, right, up, right, right. Got left, down, up, left, left, down, left, down, right, up, down, down, up, right, down, down, left, down, right, left, down, down, right, right, up, left, left, right, right, down, left, left, up, right, left, up, right, up, left, down, up, up, down, left, up, right, up, right, right, down, up, right, left, left, down, left, down.
left, up, right, left, down, up, right, left, down, down.
Okay, awesome. Very good. We lost you, Jillian, but that's okay. So we got Michelle and Aaron. So here's the thing, right? So Aaron, a minute 22, Michelle, a minute 30. Very normal range, right? So that's right in the range. But it's kind of fun, right? That's the thing. When your brain is taking these challenges, we're releasing a little dopamine, you're kind of having fun. That changes the brain really fast. So now we actually want to do a little brain training and see if we can notice a difference.
Okay.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on anticipation. So anticipation isn't something that's coming. Color uses a different part of the brain than direction. So what I want you guys to do is say 3 directions in a color. So right, left, down, blue. But I want you to stay together this time. Okay, so you can do this on your own when you do with someone else. Right now, you have to be aware of the people around you. So it's huge for emotional intelligence, teamwork, and everything else. Now, again, very important, you don't stop if you make a mistake, right? Because you'll throw your partner off. All right. So I'll say the first row with you, and then you say the rest of it all the way down the rest of the way. Okay, ready?
Okay. Yes.
All right, 3 directions and a color. Let's go. Right,
Left,
down,
blue. Down, right, up, green. Down,
left,
down, red. Right, up,
up,
left, red.
red,
Good.
Left, up,
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 yeah, yellow.
yellow,
Up,
up,
left,
left,
down,
down,
blue.
blue,
Right, up,
up,
right,
right,
red.
red,
Left,
yellow, down,
down, left,
left,
green.
green,
Up,
up,
right,
right,
up,
up,
yellow.
yellow,
Left,
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 down,
down,
red.
red,
Down,
down,
up,
up,
right,
left,
blue.
blue,
Left,
left,
down,
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 yellow.
yellow,
Right,
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 down,
down,
red.
red,
Left,
left,
up,
up,
right,
right,
blue.
up, blue,
Up,
up,
down,
down,
left,
left,
green.
green,
Down,
down,
up,
up,
right,
right,
red.
red,
Okay, good, good. Okay, that now just a couple more will be done. This next one, we're actually going to work on pattern recognition, which is really important. Pattern recognition underlies all our memory. It allows us to pull disparate facts together and put them together in patterns. Good for relationships, for everything we do. So the pattern is very simple, just direction, color, direction, color. So right yellow, down blue. You guys did a nice job of staying together. I'll say the first line, you guys keep going all the way down. You ready?
Wait a
Got that?
second, we're going down the rows now?
No,
Same
Is that
way
what
you did it, but we're adding another color on the second column. So direction, color, direction, color.
Okay,
Okay, that's the pattern. Very simple pattern. So go back and forth between, and again, if you make a mistake, just keep going. You ready?
Okay.
All right, let's go. Right,
Red.
Right.
Oh,
down,
yellow,
right,
blue.
yellow, down, blue.
blue,
Down,
down,
red,
red,
green.
up,
Oh, shoot.
green,
Oh,
down,
down, yellow,
yellow,
down, red.
down, red,
Right,
right,
blue,
blue,
left,
left,
red.
red, left,
Left, green,
green,
up, yellow.
yellow,
Up, yellow,
yellow,
down,
down,
blue.
blue, right,
Right, green,
green,
right,
right,
red.
red,
Left,
left,
blue,
blue,
left,
left,
green.
green,
Up,
up,
yellow,
yellow,
up,
up,
yellow.
yellow,
Left,
left,
red,
red,
down,
down,
red.
red,
Down,
down,
green,
green,
right,
right,
blue.
blue,
Left,
yellow,
blue, down,
down,
yellow.
yellow,
Right,
right,
yellow,
yellow,
down,
down,
red.
red,
Left,
left,
green,
green,
right,
right,
blue.
blue,
Up,
up,
green,
green,
left,
left,
green.
green,
Down,
down,
green,
green,
right,
right,
red.
red.
Good job, Michelle.
You too.
All right. So now we want to do, so we're going to do another bit because we're short on time. So we're doing another baseline. But what I want to do now is go do the baseline. So there's actually a couple of others. We would bring in working memory, we can harder patterns, but we always do a baseline to see how we're doing. So the baseline is what you did in the beginning. Remember, as fast as you can, only directions. It's a race. So let me put this back up. It's a race, okay? So as fast as you can, tune the other person out, only directions. I'll count you down and time you again. Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Mark, get set, go.
right, left,
right,
down,
left,
up,
down,
up,
up,
right,
right,
down, right, up,
right,
down,
up,
left,
down,
down,
left,
down, left,
left,
down, right,
down,
down,
left,
up,
down,
down,
right,
right,
up,
up,
right, down,
down,
right,
right,
up,
left, up,
down,
right,
and right, left,
down,
up, right, down,
down,
left,
right,
up,
left, up,
down,
right,
up, left,
right,
up,
up,
right, left,
up, down,
right, up,
left, up,
right, up,
left, down,
down, left,
left, down,
up,
up,
left,
right, left,
down, left,
up,
down,
right,
down,
up, right,
right, left, up,
left, down,
right,
up, left,
up, right, left,
down, right,
down, up,
up, down,
left,
down,
left,
up,
down,
right,
right,
down,
up,
left,
down,
down, right, left,
down,
right,
up,
up,
right,
left,
left,
right,
down, right,
down,
left,
up, right,
down,
left,
up,
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 right, up,
left, right,
down, up,
down,
up, down, left, up,
left,
right,
up, right,
down, up, right,
down, up,
down, left,
down,
down.
left, up, right, down, up, right, left, down, down.
Okay, awesome. So we only did one of the training, or two, right? We did, normally there'd be more between that, before the second baseline. So, so Aaron, you cut the 114, you cut 8 seconds off your time. And Michelle, you cut 6 seconds off your time just by that little bit that you did. So
Cool.
you can see, I mean, and obviously we keep adding more and more and more and more and more, and your brain will be doing things so hard you couldn't even think about them now. But that's what makes that processing speed faster, which is what we know underlies our performance for everything. So I know we're about out of time. Let me just put this up. So if you want to take a picture of this, screenshot of this, whatever, please reach out. We'd be love to work with you. We have a video series for some people. We do live customized training like this for teams, groups, whatever. And we also have a certification program, as I mentioned, I'm really excited about because we can certify other providers to just add this to what they're already doing. So their clients or patients get better results, right? They're very engaging. They're involved in this, even a few minutes. They themselves get all the benefits. Plus, then they can work with their families. I'm certifying one set of parents right now who are doing it so they can help their son. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. All those results you saw before, those great results, are basically from this. So any questions?
John, what were their actual times the second time through?
Second time, 124 and 114. So Tim likes to guess the time, so a little off, but he's really good at that. So please reach out. The best way is email, so then I can, and then you can tell me what it is. Do I have my email there?
No.
Down at the bottom, yeah. So email me, tell me what you're interested in, and we can get back to you with good response.
And even if you just go to the website, combatbraintraining.com, it's got a contact us link on it, and that link brings you right to John and my email. So we can get back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any questions? All right, very good. Thanks, Sherry.
You're muted, Sherry.
You're muted. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, John. And what John did not, that exercise gets harder and harder because he will add in movements, right? So a certain number of taps for each color. So you're using not only your sensory touch, but your audio, your filtering process, your visual. And it really is that, I think that is the key to what makes this work so fast.
Yeah.
And a lot of other things. And as you said, the blood flow creates that neurogenesis, but it's also the integration of all these sensory components, driving the coordination of that makes this processing. And I, as a testimony, John, oh gosh, I guess it's been 2 years ago now when I first met John.
Right.
He gave me this exercise and said, work at this. And it's made a huge difference for me personally.
Oh, that's great.
And I think the other key piece of this is the application to be for all these different types of populations. So not only high functioning individuals to improve that, athletes to improve their coordination, but people with trauma, mental trauma and developmental trauma that is overcoming. So the wide application of that to me speaks to the fundamental benefit that it can provide. So I think it's a great way to just show you neuroplasticity at work in a very quick way, in a very simple way. So John, I really appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much. And I will let you go. I think you actually have a client you're about to go to.
Yeah, I've got to go to another one. I apologize for going over, but this has been great. I really appreciate this. And again, thanks for all you're doing to help people. I hope to hear from you
Thank
guys.
you. And thanks, Tim, for joining too as well.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Well, we'll see you 5 weeks from now, John, when we do this part again. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to go into a little more detail around neuroplasticity. We've given you kind of an overview, and we've given you some exercise. So your blood should be flowing now, and you've been a little bit active. So you've already changed your brain, which is pretty interesting to me, that in that little bit of time, your brain is completely different. So what I do want to tell you before we go into a whole lot more detail around this is that neuroplasticity is neutral, right? So it can be positive and negative. It's up to you and how you train your brain as to the results that you get. And it is a use it or lose it principle. So if you don't use something, those neurons die. They get reapplied. They get moved to something else. So when you are looking at how do you retain what you have already, you want to make sure that you continue to use that. I think if you've ever learned a foreign language, I learned French in grad school. I had gotten to the point where I could dream in that. So I had built those neurons and those networks, but I never used it again. And now I can, I might get by and be able to say hello, but it's not, and maybe order a cocktail or something, but that's about it for me with French. So that's just a simple illustration. This works not only for physical movements, but it's cognitive and it's your emotions as well. So how you think, how you move, and the emotions that you feel, all of those go together to wire those neurons. And if you've ever had an incident happen to you where it was highly emotional, you don't forget that incident, right? Because it's that intense emotion that helps bring that focus that we were talking about earlier, that intention together to bear, and those changes come very quickly. So I say this because I want you to make sure that you're careful of the brain that you're building. Make sure you're aware of the habits that you're putting into place because they can be positive or negative. And this is why it's very important to make sure that you work with somebody from a neuroplastician standpoint who knows what they're doing because it's complex. And these treatments often need to be done consecutively or in some sort of an order to be able to get the most benefit of that. Okay, so all right, how does the brain change, right? So John alluded to a little bit of that in his discussion, talking about the blood flow, and what the blood flow does is, change make these chemical and structural changes in your brain, and so let's talk about that and drill down a little bit. So on the chemical side, so there's 3 ways really. Let me back up a second. There's chemical, structural, and functional. On the chemical side, really, it is these neurons, which are at the end, well, these are synapses, right? So at a neuron is a cluster. You can sort of see this in this second image here, right before structural, where these nerve cells are coming together and they're forming a connection. But in between those connections are these neurons, and they're touching one another. And what they're doing is sending chemical signals called neurotransmitters from one end to the other end. And those chemicals like acetylcholine, serotonin, dopamine are sending messages with it to tell the brain what to do. And you've heard of SSRIs, right, for maybe depression, medications that work like that. Those are increasing the chemical messages between those synapses to make those, to change the behavior downstream. So that's one way. And there are a lot of things that you can do to enhance the release of those neurotransmitters, those messages, to accelerate the learning path. So because these are fairly quick, right? Your body responds very quickly to these types of actions. It really reflects in your short-term memory. So the synapses that are firing and sending these chemical messages really work to enhance your short-term memory because they happen very fast. You're moving your hands, it's sending a signal with usually acetylcholine from one neuron over to the other, and I'm able to move my arms, and the neurons in my brain are working very fast to do that. Once those messages have gotten into place and these neurons are moving together, they form clusters and groups. And this changes the structure of your brain, right? So the way in which your brain is shaped and works is this structural component that I'm talking about. So it's not just the messaging, it's the physical component of your brain. The more you do an activity and you repeat that, the stronger that those connections get. It also creates new synapses to be formed because those neurons are reaching out, constantly trying to connect and bring in more neurons to support that. And so the brain in itself is reshaping itself, and it requires more effort and time for that to take place. And that really is where your long-term memory comes into play. So once you've gotten that structure developed and you've got a really strong habit or movement or some sort of behavioral change from working at that and developing it, like playing the violin, being able to sprint, being able to skate, being able to do the arrows that John talked to us about, there's a section in your brain that's dedicated to those individual activities. Then that section of your brain becomes easily accessed. It's very excitable. It works in a different way, and it changes the way your entire brain works. So this is that functional part, right, where it is improved efficiency in the brain. And that's really what John was talking about from a processing speed. Your working memory and your process speed are quicker and better and faster because that group of neurons has been taken on a more dominant role in how your brain works because it's something you do a lot and you access it a lot, and it will often slow some other processes down and take from those other processes if you're not using them. And these three things they work together. They can work in isolation, but in general, they all work together. So you get the release of the chemical signals, which impacts the structural components of your brain, changes the structure of your brain, and then those work together to change how quickly the brain works on certain tasks. And we talked a little bit about this early on, this neuroplasticity as a process, but I did want to come back to this because the influencers that are in the middle of this, they all also work together. And I mentioned that earlier, and I want to go through some of these in some more detail. So I've kind of separated these out into two categories: behavioral, things that you can change through your behavior, and then these external factors that I'm calling accelerants that can change the state of plasticity in your brain to help you learn quicker and to make progress in a much faster way. So what are the things from a behavioral standpoint that you can do to impact the ability to learn and change your brain quicker? So we've talked a little bit about repetition with focus, and I think John's example and activity really illustrated that very well. As you get older, you really need to repeat these activities multiple times. So incremental learning. So if you think about, playing the piano, learning a language, you want to do that daily. That repetition and that consistency is what builds up and strengthens those neural pathways. You have to have intent. You need to be focused on it, and it needs to be difficult, right? You have to have some struggle associated with that. It can't be something that you're easily do because you're not pushing your brain to learn. The other piece of this is novelty. Travel is one of the best ways to enhance your brain state because it is all new. Your brain is working, it's absorbing everything that's out there from, the sounds, the smells, the wind on your face, and the language that you're hearing. It really opens up your brain and puts it into a state where you're able to learn. Lifestyle factors, these are highlighted in orange here because these things are extremely important when you're thinking about your brain. And this the things you do every day, right? How much exercise do you get? How well are you sleeping? Are you getting the right nutrition? So these factors, especially exercise, they stimulate something in your brain called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, so BDNF. And BDNF is a precursor to acetylcholine, which is fancy scientific words, which really just means that those synapses are firing quicker when we're talking about the chemical messengers that are being emitted by your brain. Exercise is one of the very best things you can do to accelerate that. And if you're nutritionally deficient in certain things, that also has an impact. So we're going to talk a good bit more about this next week and get into some specifics for what you need to do, how much exercise is going to be beneficial for you, and what are the nutritional factors that you really need to pay close attention to. So be sure you join us next week for that. On the point of age, your brain is highly plastic when you're young, and that's probably not a surprise. You can learn things very quick. And when you're older, it takes a little more time and focus. But with some of these accelerants that I'll talk about in a minute, they have shown that you can learn and absorb things almost as quickly as you can when you're in your 25-year-old brain by putting it into an extreme state of plasticity. So this is getting better every day that goes by. And just because you're older in age, an old dog can you learn a new trick. And so don't be intimidated by your age. Your brain is active throughout your life and has a strong capability to learn. This other piece is mindset, right? So this goes back to the point about your thoughts early on. Are you in an open mindset? Are you stressed? Are you in a positive frame of mind to be able to enjoy what you're doing? Stress really does hinder your ability to learn, and optimism and curiosity really enhance it. It's been proven, and there's a lot of research out there. So before you sit down to try to learn a new activity, you want to make sure that you're in a positive frame of mind, and you want to make sure that you've had a little bit of exercise. The benefits of exercise last for about 2 to 3 hours after that activity, and it's got your state in that plastic state. So any sort of activities or thoughts that you're having after that exercise is really going to make a much bigger impact. So let's talk a little bit now about the accelerants. So what are we talking about here? So you've heard me mention vagus nerve stimulation a couple of times, and your vagus nerve sits right at the back of your brainstem. And this is, there's some really promising research now where stroke victims are using stimulation of that nerve to be able to enhance the processing speed and putting your brain into a very plastic state, so that when you do the exercises, let's say you've got damage from a limb movement standpoint, they have been able to accomplish in like 18 days something that would have taken 3 months. So it's extremely phenomenal. So there's a lot of different ways to stimulate that. The Pons device can go under your tongue for certain things. They've developed that for multiple sclerosis. there's a lot of things that they're doing as well. External stimulation for the brain, for depression, transcranial magnetic stimulation, and that's having tremendous impact. You all know about Neuralink. Any types of, that's an invasive device. There's external and invasive, and those all create a greater state of plasticity in your brain and make things just work faster and quicker. The other category here is chemical. And this includes pharmaceuticals, supplements, and psychedelics. There's been a lot of research now on psychedelics that really, again, enhance the brain's state of plasticity so that any learning that you do after that is accelerated from a timing standpoint. And this also includes things like the SSRIs and pharmaceuticals that enhance the brain's capability to learn. So I did mention earlier that, every day it seems like there's some new research coming out about how these things work. And I would say that between the accelerants that are out there and the things that you can do from a behavior standpoint, it's phenomenal on the changes that you can make, and it's happening literally day by day. So a couple of things that that hinder neuroplasticity. Sorry about that. As I mentioned, it's neutral, right? So depending on what you do, it can promote it or hinder it. And some of the key things that are coming out in research is a lack of stimulation. So it's that back to that use it or lose it principle. And this comes into play when, especially like for isolation and for not or discontinuing some sort of an activity. And I would say that the loss of sensory input is also a key component of that. As you age, maybe you lose your ability to touch. You've got some nerve damage. You lose your ability to see well or hear well. You want to try and address those from a physical standpoint as much as you can, because if those things and that data is not coming into your brain, those neurons are being applied elsewhere, and then that capacity in your body further decreases. And I've already talked a little bit about the chronic stress and negativity, but that blocks those chemicals like BDNF from flowing. And that's going to kind of bring us to a close for today. The goal really was to make sure you understand that your brain is not fixed. You can change your brain through either chemical, structural, and then those in turn cause functional changes. It's a use it or lose it principle. If you don't wire it and fire it together, then it's adios amigos with those neurons. They tend to go elsewhere. Your brain can be shaped positively or negatively. You need focus and friction and repetition in adulthood to make those changes stick. And that does take some time to do. And then why does it matter? What's the most important thing about this is because this allows you the ability to transform your life. It allows you not only to regain lost function, but to retain that function that you have. So I want to encourage you to think about your daily activities and what you can do, and know that you're empowered to go build the brain that you want. And I guess lastly, before we move to questions, any questions there, I want to remind you of our session next week, where we're going to get into some of those treatment types and what you can do specifically. We're not going to talk about like specific treatments. We're going to talk about categories of treatments and how they work. So I hope that you'll join us to that, to learn some of what is available out there for you to do that. And then we're going to be looking at how to teach you to evaluate these. What are the things you need to look for yourself? And then how to self-advocate with your care team. And then where is all this information that you can use to go learn about this yourself? Okay, I will open this up for any questions and answers session, a question and answer session. If you need any additional information, please reach out to Izzy. She's available. I'm also available. You can, if you've got specific questions, we're happy to help you with that. Izzy is going to post the session, and if you were registered, you'll have access to this to watch and to share with your network as you would like to. Okay, any questions? Let me know if you see any questions over there.
Yeah, and if you don't have any questions, we would love to hear your feedback. If you had any key takeaways or anything that you really thought stood out, or you'd even like more information about, we would love to see that in the chat, or you can say it out loud.
Okay, great. Well, I will close out the session. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad you were here. I hope you learned something, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Okay, bye-bye.